morning, Senators. Madam Chair, Honourable Senators, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and happy Family Day. I miss my two daughters today, and I'm sure they're looking forward to seeing me come back home tomorrow. My name is Sheldon Clare, and I'm the volunteer elected President and CEO of Canada's National Firearms Association. In my day job, I teach academic history at the College of New Caledonia in Prince George, British Columbia. The NFA is the largest and most effective advocacy organization representing the interests of firearms owners and users across the country, with membership in every Canadian province. The NFA is a UN NGO with status under ECOSOC. The NFA provides training, sponsors and mentors athletes in the shooting sports, including Olympians, and advocates for better laws in Parliament and fights bad laws in courts and internationally. We are currently leading the fight in Quebec against their unconstitutional long gun registry. We are bringing that government to the Quebec Court of Appeal. We've been to the Supreme Court of Canada in the past to help firearm owners, and we have been successful. Senators, having said all that, I'm going to be very frank. Bill C71 is a bad bill, hated by firearm owners. It's hated by these law-abiding Canadians because it treats them like they are not. Most importantly for your deliberations is that the intended purpose of the bill is to improve public safety. Yet this bill does not improve public safety. This bill seeks to expand background checks, even though peer-reviewed research shows that background checks do not have any effect on crime. This bill seeks to impose new rules to track sales of firearms through vendor sales records, while also bringing in license verification for each sale. Vendor sales records, which is another phrase for privatized gun registry, will be open to breaches of personal privacy, as there will be no controls on data protection. These records could actually lead to dangerous situations where criminals could potentially get their hands on lists of people who have guns. And in the same way that licensing has not been associated with a reduction in firearm violence and homicide, license verification is also not associated with such a reduction. This bill is merely an extra burden on law-abiding firearm owners that will not improve public safety, despite emotionally based arguments to the contrary. This bill also proposes to make it more difficult for firearm owners to transport their firearm to a place where they can legally store, repair, or sell their property. That part of the bill is redundant in terms of existing law. These people have already been vetted and have a license. Why should they need an additional paperwork process to simply transport their firearm to have it repaired? The facts are that there is no empirical evidence that demonstrates the effectiveness of the authorization to transport system. Increasing it does not improve public safety. This bill also brings in stricter classification rules for firearms by shifting responsibility to the RCMP, allowing them to disallow more guns simply because they don't like the way they look, even though, once again, research shows that firearm action and appearance has no effect on crime. This bill's proponents claim that this bill will improve public safety, but absolutely none of the measures within it do so. This is a bill based on politics and emotional perception, not good public policy. If the government was serious about public safety and limiting violence, it would be providing programs for youth offenders and gangs to prevent recidivism. These, and providing additional diagnostic resources for mental health, would see a much more beneficial result than targeting law-abiding firearm owners. The facts and the naked evidence show that this bill simply will not improve public safety, which is its intended purpose, and therefore it should be thrown out. Senators, you have an opportunity here to make a real difference, to stop this backwards bill that would only increase the burden on firearm owners and would do nothing to stop actual criminals. It's important to understand that there is no evidence whatsoever that increasing restrictions on firearm ownership, possession, and acquisition, requiring increased screening or licensing, have had any effect, either positive or negative, either the homicide rate, suicide rate, or crime rate in Canada, which has been steadily declining for decades. The Senate was established in Canada as a house of sober second thought, and law-abiding firearm owners and users in Canada are so very grateful that it was, because you can stop this terribly flawed legislation from becoming law. That's why I am not asking you to amend this bill. I ask you to outright reject this bill. Bill C71 is fundamentally flawed. It would merely impose additional unnecessary burdens on law-abiding firearm owners and users. It does absolutely nothing to address crime or safety. This is a flawed bill that deserves true, sober second thought. So I and the millions of firearm owners and users in Canada respectfully call upon the Senate to reject this bill. Thank you, Senators. Thank you, Madam Chair.